Oh, hello. Welcome to today's Decay, where we celebrate births and beginnings of everything important since the dawn of time. Today is March 1st, and it's another book-centric day. Not entirely. Today in 1885, Lionel Atwill was born. Lionel Atwill was um, I guess, most known as a Mad Doctor actor in horror genre films in the 30s and 40s. He got his start on Broadway playing like romantic leads and Shakespearean type performances, and got his first taste of playing like lowbrow doctor roles. I want to say Dr. X is the first one. Um, Co-starring Fay Wray and directed by Michael Curtiz. I think Dr. X is with Lee Tracy as well. Really enjoy Lee Tracy. And he decided that he never wanted to go back to more reputable roles, be it stage or film, and wound up starring in Mysteries of the Wax Museum, also with Fay Wray, directed by Michael Curtiz. Also two-strip Technicolor, same as Dr. X. What else? Was he in The Vampire Bat? I think he's in The Vampire Bat. He winds up being in, Mad Doctor of Market Street, Mad Monster, a whole bunch of them. He's, does he have a most important role? I don't know. It's probably the inspector in Son of Frankenstein that was then referenced in Young Frankenstein. But that whole character with like the wooden arm and everything, that's Lionel Atwill's character in Son of Frankenstein. So meanwhile, he also features prominently in Kenneth Anger's Hollywood Babylon, and he's in another book called Hollywood's Maddest Doctors, because he wound up he got really into this role. He took this role on for himself, and would attend murder trials just to like get wrapped up in the whole feeling of it. And when reporters would ask you like, "What are you doing here?" he would say like, "Well, the Sphinx was another movie he was in that was a really good early 30s pre-code horror film where he plays like identical twins." So he would say to these reporters that, this side of my face is caring and warm, and this side of my face hates you. And they'd be like, "Yeah, but what are you doing at the murder trial?" And like he was just like hamming it up basically. And then if Kenneth Anger is to be believed, and I think it's also in that Hollywood's Maddest Doctors book, he would have these sex parties in his house that, like, if you were a member of the Hollywood elite, you would get this special key to like get into his house, I guess through like a secret passageway or something like that. And they would have these orgies where also he would show stag films, and apparently he got in trouble because one or two of the women that were there were actually underage, and like he got busted for that. And then once he did, everybody that he used to connect with wouldn't talk to him anymore, and he couldn't get any more roles, and he fell out of favor. And I think by the end of the 40s, he's dead. Yeah, but Lionel Atwill, quite a character. Yeah. What else? Oh, another character on this day, 1902, Tiffany Thayer was born. I am a huge Tiffany Thayer fan. You probably don't know who he is. He wrote such novels as Call Her Savage, 13 Women, both of which become pre-code movies. Call Her Savage with Clara Bow, 13 Women with Myrna Loy, both really great. He also wrote, what else? Well, my favorite is Dr. Arnaldi, which I've had multiple copies of over the years, and now I have none. So what is the moral of the story? Never let anybody borrow anything, because you never get it back. Hell is other people. Forget it. How frustrating. But I found out about him as a writer because I stumbled upon this blurb about Dr. Arnaldi, which was printed in 1934, and that I know of was never reprinted again. All of a sudden, for no explained reason, um, people can't die, no matter how old they get, no matter how maimed they get in some sort of accident. People are literally put into meat grinders, and like their writhing bodies are still like there, even though they're just a pile of meat at this point. People keep having kids because they're humans and are lusting after each other, to the point that the Earth gets so overpopulated, they just start throwing writhing bodies into the ocean just to like get them off land. And they do that to such a degree that like islands of writhing people wind up pushing up over like the water line. It's awesome. There's like elements like Mad Max in there. I don't want to say too much, but this is a really great book. So if anybody can return one of my multiple copies, that'd be great. I'd love that. He also was very much into the strange and unusual, and was one of, if not the founding member of the Fortean Society, which is based off of the writings of Charles Fort, who collected and put out all sorts of newspaper reports from all over the world of like the strange and unusual. If a newspaper reported that like frogs rained down from the heavens one day, or some sort of cryptozoology thing, or like just all sorts of like strange occurrences that were almost like a real life what was he writing? The teens and 20s, I'd say, Charles Fort, if not before. It was like a real life X-Files where he'd like go and investigate this stuff, even just from his armchair, but like try to find out more information and put it all together for other people to read, and didn't care if anybody read it or had any real value in what he was doing. But Tiffany Thayer did, and so created the Fortean Society to celebrate what Charles Fort was doing. Here's a copy of Tiffany Thayer's 13 Men. He wrote 13 Women. He also wrote 13 Men. I really like this biography he wrote of himself that I wanted to share. I fear I am a great disappointment to my parents. My mother wanted me to be an evangelist or an archangel. My father wanted me to be a criminal lawyer, maybe a mayor. I failed them both, as they have both failed me. I wanted my father to be a millionaire and my mother a bareback rider. Neither one of them did anything about it. A perniciously precocious child, I never ceased to marvel that I reached adolescence without inciting some sensible adult to tear out my wicked tongue. I spent some 2 weeks of the war at Battle Creek, where I discovered the only pretty knees I have ever seen on a woman. During the same war, I learned to forego sugar and cream in my coffee. This patriotism persists. I sleep 4 hours every night, and I sleep them raw. I smoke Picayune cigarettes so that no one ever bums more than one. I think the so-called planet Earth is shaped like a donut speared through the hole by a blunt icicle. I mean to write a book to prove this one day. My favorite philosopher is Pharaoh. My favorite beverage, the mint julep. My favorite sport is oar boating. I never learned to roller skate, crack my gum, or bowl. A hotel clerk in St. Petersburg, Florida, once taught me how to write numbers upside down, but I have forgotten since. I can chin myself twice. 13 Men was written with yellow, very sharply pointed lead pencils, evenings and Sundays through a period of about a year and a half. It is a good book, my favorite, I think, although Jurgen is a good book too. Tiffany Thayer. Anyway, it's crazy, right? Yeah, totally dig him. What else? William Gaines, born today, 1922. The brains behind EC Comics. So here we are in the EC Comics section of the place. I love EC Comics. Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, Haunt of Fear, and then sci-fi stuff as well, and the true crime stuff. All of this, it's wonderful, wonderful. And it was shut down by the U.S. government, who thought that EC Comics and their ilk were a tool by the USSR to turn our children into juvenile delinquents. Yeah. So today's a good day to make sure you get your juvenile delinquent reading in. And that's not it. 1923 on this not sure about day, but because it's the first of the month, we're going to say it's premiered this month. 1923 was the first time that Weird Tales magazine appeared on the shelves. Here's a repro of the first one. I love Weird Tales. This would have been the first time, from an English language standpoint, that anybody here could connect with each other that were into the strange and unusual. Things that 2 generations later, maybe your kids were reading EC Comics. In 1923, this has been the only way to get weird fiction, and then there's letters columns in the back of it where people can communicate to each other and understand they weren't alone in liking the strange and unusual. Maybe this cover doesn't connect with you, but here's probably the most famous one. All repros. If they weren't, they'd be like, down payments on a car or something like that. So there you go. Today, March 1st, from me to you till tomorrow. Goodbye.